Alright, it's close to the end of November. I haven't done anything else with my life lately, so here it is. The 2011 YouTube survey. Tell us about your first kiss. Aww, isn't that sweet? Alright, let's see. I think I was 15? I was 15 when I had my first kiss. Was at a friend's birthday party. It was a sleepover, and all of us went up to her room to play spin the bottle. And I'd never kissed anyone before, so I was kind of nervous and sort of like skipping over my turns whenever it came to my turn, you know. Like maybe, like I think I kissed a few people on the cheek, but I wasn't really doing anything. And eventually one of my friends was like, well, why, you know, it's spin the bottle, this is the whole point. And I was like, because I don't know how. And so this random girl was like, I'll show you how, you know, if it spins and it lands. If I spin it and it lands on you, then I'll show you how. And I was like, yeah, okay. So when it got back around to her turn, she spun it, and I think she spun it a few times before it actually landed on me. But so when it did, we kissed, and I had no idea how to kiss, so I just sort of closed my eyes and went for it, and she said that I did really good. I don't know, because all I really remember is us kissing, and then all of a sudden me flying backwards and sort of feeling a little bit disoriented, and I opened my eyes and I was sort of laying on the floor in the lap of someone who was also sitting in the circle, and I was like, I have no idea what just happened. What is the most expensive item of clothing you have ever bought? So, I myself don't think I've ever spent a buttload of money on anything, item, piece of clothing. Really, I mean, I get a lot of my stuff from Goodwill, but I don't think I've ever actually, like, bought something that was really expensive. The most expensive item of clothing that I owned when it was new was my Harley Davidson boots, which were a birthday present from my dad, which were $100. Obviously, I didn't buy those, but that's the most expensive piece of clothing, I guess, that I have, not that I bought, because honestly, I think the most expensive thing I bought was like, for a shirt, it was maybe like $20 maybe, and that was just like for a nice shirt. Yeah. What is the first job you ever wanted as a kid? So, when I was a kid, my dad worked, he used to fix movie cameras when I was little, and every once in a while he would take me to work with him. And while he was fixing movie cameras, I would get bored, and I would go bother the rest of the guys that worked in this warehouse, because it was a big warehouse, that rented out studio equipment. And so when I was a kid, I actually really idolized these two guys named Shane and Jeff, who just basically loaded the trucks full of all the gaffing, like all the gaff equipment. And the tech equipment, like just the tripods and like the, you know, the trolley wheels that they put the cameras on to move them around, and they moved around sound equipment, and they loaded up, you know, the lights and the stuff. I don't even really remember what it was all. I just remember thinking that they were both, they sort of acted like I was their little sister, and they would help me move little boxes, so when I was a kid, I actually really, really wanted to just work there. Tell us about your group of school friends. Ah. So, while at school, I never really had a specific group that I hung out with. I sort of just hung out with different groups, and then, like, during high school, I hung out with one or two groups, which were people from all the other groups, so we all sort of just, we were like Legos, different colored Legos, we all sort of were like interchangeable and stuff. I did have a specific group of friends I hung out with the summer in between junior and senior year. There was 5 of us, and we only hung out really with each other, and whatever there was to do, even if there was nothing to do, we were doing it. We were just hanging out at each other's houses, watching movies, having, like, miniature cookouts in each other's backyards, and, you know, hanging out at parks, causing what we considered to be mischief, and that was it. We never really did anything intense. But we were all pretty close. What would you name your kids? You can't see that, it's written in yellow. So, I myself have gone through a couple of ideas for naming my kids. I remember when I was younger and the idea of having kids was just more like a thing you did, you know, in playing house. My kids' names were going to be stuff like John and Chuck and Chris and Sarah and stuff like that. And as I got older, it sort of got a little weirder. When I was going through my emo gothic vampire phase, I was dead set on naming first of all, I was dead set on having only sons, apparently, because I wanted to name them things like Dracula and Vladimir and Marius, and just like any little vampire character that I came along. And for a while it was a bunch of French guy names, none of which I actually remember. I don't know. I actually always have had this weird fear that whenever I have a kid, I'm gonna panic and not know what to name it. And I base this off of a weird thing, because whenever I get a pet, I have that pet for like 2 weeks before I can think of a good name for it, because, you know, I don't know the animal's personality, so I'm always trying to think of a good name to fit this. But with a child, it's like, you need to name it right then, you know, so they can write it down on the thing. It's like, well, I don't know! And I'm scared that they're gonna hand me this baby and go, okay, what's its name? And I'm just gonna go, elephants, I don't know! And they're gonna write that on its birth certificate, and I'm gonna feel awful. Who would you like to see do this next? I don't know if Connor has done this yet, and we're not even really talking, but I really think his answers to this would be frickin' hilarious.